So hello, I'm James from Google. I'm a product manager on Android Auto. Let me give you a demonstration of Android Auto as we have here in this 2015 Sonata. So here we have the standard Hyundai system, infotainment system, and right here I've got an Android phone which is running L, our new version of the operating system, Lollipop, sorry. I'm going to connect this using a USB connector. When I do so, and you're going to see over here on the screen that Android Auto is going to kick in, and the phone is now locked out. I can't text or make calls or things on my phone, and this is all part of the safety message we want to get over here for Android Auto, which is that people use their phone while they're driving. They're texting while they're driving down the freeway. We know this is really unsafe, and we want to provide a better way to do this. So I can put the phone down for the rest of the demo. I don't need to touch that. All the functionality is on the screen here.
Why is the Nutcracker playing?
The Nutcracker is playing because it's coming through the car's radio. So I can stop that by clicking on one of our media apps and pressing play on one of our apps, and our apps now take over control of the audio, and I can pause that. So let me go through a little bit of what the system is first. Here we have the activity bar, where we've tried to focus on the features we think are most relevant to people in the car. We've got navigation, communication through phone and text messaging, media apps, and car-related apps. We think these are the primary use cases that people are going to do in the car. Let me show you media apps. So here we have Google Play Music, and it's playing songs from my subscription service. So I've got access to a great library of songs. It's got all of my recent playlists that I can go through. That was the same playlist. I'm going to try a different one. And it's going to load in different music and stream that over the network for me to listen to. Today we announced the Android Auto SDK for developers, so they can now create messaging and media apps. And we also had some partners we worked with ahead of time to refine the SDK, so we have some great apps to demo today. Things like Spotify, where I can load up Spotify here, and I can, because I've got access to all my playlists, I can go in and say, let's play my driving stuff. So we got Journey, and we can listen to that. And it's got all the same functionalities on my phone. It's Spotify from my phone, so it's all signed in, it's all my playlists, all my preferences, ready to go. And we also got some other great apps like Pocket Casts, so I can listen to podcasts on the go, like the Dinner Party download. All this works straight away from our SDK. We also have, if you have an Android system, you've probably seen Google Now. We have Google Now integration in the car screen here. It's giving us suggested destinations and weather, other things like that. Here it knows I have a flight later from LAX, so it's suggesting that I drive to LAX. When I click on this, later on.
Okay.
Later on.
Head east on Figueroa Drive, then turn
So
right
this launches me into
Figueroa
Google Maps.
Street.
This is Google Maps that you see on Android, on iOS, on desktop, and we've reimagined it for the car. We've adjusted the UI to make it more glanceable, to present the right information that you need while you're driving, and also to minimize the number of touches and interactions that you need to make. This is giving us all the relevant information, like which turns next, my estimated time, and stuff you really need when you're driving, like lane guidance. Now, of course, because this is a Google system, lane guidance here, so it's telling me, it doesn't just tell me I need to turn right, it tells me which lane I need to be in to turn right, which is really cool and very useful when you're driving around LA.
Can you, like in the regular Google Maps, zoom out right now and then resume back?
So
into
when I'm driving, I can't, but if I pause the navigation and come back here, I can zoom out, I can take a look around, I can pan the map left and right. All this works great. Integration. This is because different layers, exactly, and also because of the Hyundai's integration, they've got a great touch screen here that we can do some really cool multi-touch gestures.
Cool.
So let me show you some of the Google search integration, because we want voice to be one of the primary interfaces for the car. It allows you to keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. So we can say things to it like, what's the weather like in San Diego?
Beautiful.
Mostly cloudy in San Diego.
And because it's Google search, we can have a conversation with it. I can say, how late is the zoo open?
San Diego Zoo is open until 5 p.m.
So that's really interesting because it's kept the context from our previous query, and it remembers, hey, James is talking about San Diego. He probably means the San Diego Zoo. It's looked up the hours, and it's even now given me the option to navigate there, which I think is really useful.
Figueroa Drive toward 15th drop.
And this works with anything. It's Google search, so I can ask it, how tall is Mount Everest? What's the population of San Francisco? What is 100 times, whatever. And all this stuff works.
Will it show like the cards like it does in...
No, it all comes through the voice. Okay. So like, for example, if I was to say, how tall is Mount Everest?
Mount Everest is 29,029 feet tall.
And it reads the answer back to me. Let me show, and also
so
it tries to navigate me to Mount Everest.
Never mind.
That's because it was a location. Like
Okay.
if I said, you know, how tall is Barack Obama, it's not going to give me a card.
Ask that. He's 6 something, isn't he?
How tall is Barack Obama?
Barack Obama is 6 feet 1 inch tall.
Did anybody watch Stephen Colbert? He had a thing with Google recently where he said we had his height wrong on Google search, so we adjusted it. Let me see this. How tall is Stephen Colbert?
Stephen Colbert is 5 feet 10 and 1/2 inches or 1.79 meters ish tall.
So he made a little adjustment there because he wasn't happy. Let me show you something else which is really cool. So here I have a different phone. This is a phone which isn't connected to the car, and I've got WhatsApp running, which is a really popular messaging service. So here I'm going to send a message and I'm going to say, hey, how's the demo going? And I'm going to send it. And what you're going to see on the car screen here is I get my text message comes through, and I can press this to read the message to me.
Here's the message. Hey, how's the demo going?
And it's not putting that on the screen, it's just reading it to me, which means I can then reply. Reply.
Say your message.
It's been a long day, but it's going well.
Here's your message. It's been a long day, but it's going well. Do you want to send it?
Absolutely.
Sending message.
And you'll see over here that the message has come through. So that's text messaging, again, without taking my hands off the wheel, without looking down at my phone, which we think is a great experience for people. It's going to make a lot of people a lot safer in cars, and we're going to get this as many cars as possible.
Can you change her voice?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I know that I'm not American, I'm Scottish, and when I have it set up for GB, a slightly different voice, so I think maybe we have different voices for different locations.
It's always a female voice.
I'm not sure. I would have to check with the system, sorry.
Is it a Google voice system or is it Hyundai's?
It's Google's voice system, yeah, of course, which actually means that it's getting updated all the time. We're always making improvements to it, and it means it's going to get better over time. One of the fantastic things about this is we have this phone here, which is, I've been using it in the other demo. The other demo is American, I'm Scottish, and the phone has no problem understanding both of us.
So is it also charging the phone while it's
It is, yeah. So we've been testing now for a couple of hours, and you can see that it's still 100% battery.
Do you know if they're working on? I've seen other app integration ones that work over Bluetooth. Are you guys thinking about making it work over Bluetooth?
I mean, so probably we could make this work over Bluetooth, but we don't think it makes sense because we think when you get to your destination, your phone's going to be dead in terms of using battery life. So we think this is the best solution for the moment. We're not completely ruling out doing other forms of communication at some point in the future, but for the moment we want to focus on this USB connection.
Gotcha. And I haven't been able to go. I'm going to read into it later about the SDK, but are all app developers, for instance, if somebody has a competing navigation app, are they able to develop and port this to the system?
So for the moment, we've only released the SDK for messaging and media apps, not for mapping applications. We're not unopposed to doing that in the future, and the reason we haven't released it yet is simply that we haven't yet figured out a way to do it in such a way that can be driver distraction compliant. We've done so much research on this UI, it's so finely tuned to be safe in the car that we want to make sure that if we do open it up to other developers to build apps like mapping applications, that they can do in a way which is safe and that can be tested by us to make sure that it's compliant before it's released on the App Store, the Play Store.
How many actions does it take to, the camera just fell on me. How many actions does it take to make a phone call?
Just the one. I can say,
All right.
call Joey.
Calling Joey mobile.
And there we go. The call begins.
Now, with Hyundai, this is probably more a Hyundai question, but so they're showing Apple CarPlay. Are both of these on here, or do you have to buy your car with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay?
My understanding is this is up to the OEMs, but for Hyundai, at least my understanding is that they are presenting a system which contains both. Okay. So you can plug in an Android phone, you get Android Auto, you switch it out for a CarPlay phone, an iPhone, and it'll work with CarPlay.
But you need the navigation upgrade.
Yeah, so
you have to have the navigation
My understanding of this is the upgraded package for entertainment system, yeah.
Gotcha.
That is, again, totally OEM specific. We're not putting any requirements on it from Google's point of view. All we're saying is that you have to pass our compliant tests in order to make sure the hardware specification is good enough to run the system.
Gotcha. And you have to have, do forked versions of Android work with it, or it has to have Google services, right? It can't be Amazon Fire Phone or something like that.
So it has to run Android 5.0 Lollipop. So if, I don't know what version you guys are on, but if you can support Lollipop, then I think it works. You have to download the Android Auto app from the App Store, and you have to have the latest version of Google Play services.
So this will not be download compatible with like a Samsung Galaxy S3, or if it doesn't.
If Samsung are able to get the S3 working with Lollipop, then that's fine, but we need the latest version of our operating system.
Gotcha.
But to give you an example, that operating system works fine on the Nexus 5 from 2013 and the Nexus 4 from 2012. It's also not necessarily high-end phones. Google just announced the Android One phone for the developing markets. It's a $100 smartphone which runs Lollipop and works great with Android Auto.
In the middleware for the system in general, do you know in terms of what Google is planning, since car, the average age of a car is 11 years old, it could last 20 years, how long you guys plan to be able to, in different head units, sustain the middleware, so as people keep updating their phones, and this obviously is continuously being updated?
Yep, absolutely. So one of the things, one of the really great things I think about the system is the software you get on the day you buy the car is not going to be the software 12 months later, or 10 years later. We're constantly looking to evolve it, and you'll get the latest and greatest experience because it's all being updated through the phone.
Gotcha.
It's exactly the same way that Android is updated, and exactly the same way that apps are updated through the Google Play Store. So the same way that Gmail or Google Maps is currently updated is the way that Android Auto will be updated.
Gotcha.
That also means that when you buy a new phone, you get the latest and greatest hardware for your phone, you plug it in, it's going to work with your car.
So the middleware in this unit, you guys don't plan to change it in a way
No.
that will make a compatibility issue?
We've made the protocol as future-proof as we can see at the moment, and we think it's going to last us for a long time.
Okay, that's all I have. That's great.
Do you know what version USB that is?
It's okay, this is going to test my nerd knowledge. I believe it's a micro USB.
Yeah.
That's dependent on your phone though. If your phone has a mini USB, it will work with that. The car here is integrated. I can't open this up just now, but it's basically a standard USB.
Oh, okay, but there are different versions
down
of
here.
USB.
Down here is a standard USB.
There are different numbers on USB.
Yeah, I believe this is USB 2.
And
which has been around for 10 years.
Are there any other apps that currently have advertising?
At the moment, I don't believe there are any apps which have advertising.
Okay, but when you do an OK Google, find me a restaurant, what happens? Where is it getting that information?
That information comes from Google Maps, local search, and it finds the restaurants in the local area near to you that it believes is the most relevant. I don't believe that we're currently showing any advertising there.
Okay, can you find me what kind of restaurant we want? Let's try it.
Seriously.
Italian restaurant?
Oh, yeah, that's terrible in LA. So find me an Italian restaurant.
Okay. Find me an Italian restaurant.
Here are addresses for Italian restaurant.
So it's just doing a search and it's finding me a bunch of Italian restaurants in the nearby area. And they're pretty sparse, they're quite a far bit away, so you can see that.
Yeah, I think they're the top of the line because I think there are downtown restaurants, Italian restaurants.
Oh, really?
So I'll have to check. Yeah.
So this is based on Google search ranking for these type of things. So it could be. So I'm not privy to the exact way that it's done, but it could be done by relevancy, by reviews, by generally what we think is the best experience for the user. We don't necessarily want to recommend or put as a highest result a restaurant which hasn't got great reviews, for example.
All right, well, find me some parking now.
Okay, let's see if we can do this a different way. So one of the things that we can do here is we have categories. So I can do parking. And then it finds me some parking nearby. Let's do the Staples Center. And there we go. It can navigate me to the Staples Center car park.
But it doesn't tell you the price.
It doesn't tell me the price, no. That would be a great use case. I should talk to our team and see if we can...
Yes, it's $15 to park here.
Is it $15?